Cybertron, our home. For generations, it has been a peaceful world.
Whatever lies beyond that portal is our best and last hope, my friend.
But for every force in the universe, there is an equal and an opposite.
Hi. I still don't know how to do an intro. So, I'm just going to start the video. War for Cybertron, For Cybertron, Rise of Darkspark, the kind of aligned continuity trilogy of games. You know, all of them retcon each other and retcon everything else in the right continuity. And then, technically, Prime is also part of the Prime game, is part of it. So, but then the Earth part of Rise of Darkspark isn't canon to the right continuity. And yeah, I'm starting to think no one thought this through. Nice Orion continuity, Hasbro. Took me 10 years to find out it existed. So two of the games are made by High Moon, and Rise of Darkspark is made by Edge Reality. Edge Reality made such amazing games like Over the Heads, the game. Amazing. So War Cybertron was made in conjunction with Dark of the Moon because the team was split into two. One to make a tie-in game to cast on a movie, and the other one to make a game to cast on Transformers itself. So they share some mechanics. A lot of people call them one-to-one, but they really aren't. This isn't a Dark of the Moon video, so I'll be talking about Dark of the Moon probably another time maybe. But I have to say, War Cybertron, the levels are bigger. You can pick up weapons. There's more floatiness to the game, and the guns feel faster and feels less like there's less recoil and heaviness and less sluggish. But hey, what's the point of comparing War Cybertron to Dark of the Moon when, depending on who you are, because I know there is one or two people who watch my videos and they aren't Transformer fans. They're there for the videos that I haven't made in who knows how long. Just became a Transformers channel all this time. So, War Cybertron's main mechanic is hover mode, which allows you to strafe in vehicle mode. Because, unfortunately, very much to the soul of my childhood self, cars don't strafe. Neither do they hover. That was a very, very shocking and sad thing for me to find out. So, in this hover mode, you have guns, which I don't really think they're that much better than the robot mode ones, and they're harder to use. But it is fun to strafe around, and there's a boost button to turn your car into a normal car. I really liked this because the ended up forward. There was no such thing as stopping. Like, you just forward. Like, you hold R2 to transform, and you let go of R2, you just turn back into robot mode. So not only do you have to hold down the button, R2 or right trigger or shift, depending on how you played the game, but you couldn't stop, and the controls were weird. Transform is a game, at least you could just press the button once and transform, and you could actually stay still. But when you boosted, your car was a bit too slippery, and you didn't boost, the car was too slow. So I think this hover mechanic was a really smart thing to do. Dark of the Moon, all these games have it, as well as Dark of the Moon. And I just think it's a really nice way of them making the vehicle more usable. You start with a gun, and you can find another gun scattered throughout the level. You can only have one light gun and one heavy gun. There's also some grenades, but I don't think... I may have been the only one, but I never used the grenades. The levels are quite linear. You just go through them. Mostly just hallways, but the combat's fun. So it's a third-person shooter. But I honestly don't know how it took them this long to make a Transformers game like this. I mean, you're a robot, and you shoot things, and you can turn into a car that does car things. So more For Cybertron. Now, I hate to bore people about technical stuff, but the PC port is garbage. 30 FPS. If you try to run the game at 4K, the game just fails to load. The game has no upgrades over the console version. They never got the DLC. Not very good PC port. When it comes to graphics, the game looks okay. Music and sound design, I say pretty good. The story, it's what you expect from a Transformers game, but it's still good. You see Optimus Prime become a Prime. You see the previous reader, Zeta, who's called Sentinel in the comics. But I'm just gonna call him Zeta because who cares about the comics? You see the previous Prime die. You see Starscream becoming a Decepticon. You see how badly Cybertron was hurt. How badly Cybertron was affected by the war. And one of the main reasons why Cybertron was completely uninhabitable during the events of Prime. Now, what about the Divine Continuity? I talked about it earlier. It's technically connected to all the other things, but only two things really connect them properly. And they mess up one of them, which is the Dark Energon. Like, Dark Energon is in Prime, but Megatron doesn't know of it. Like, he pretends like he's never had it before. But the first ever war with Cybertron, he takes it. Another thing, which is in Prime, Ratchet retells the story of Megatron poisons Core with Dark Energon. Optimus goes to Core to try and save it. Optimus gets Matrix. Which, I mean, isn't wrong, but it doesn't do much. Besides saying, yeah, remember that these are connected? For Cybertron, I'm going to go over a bit of each game. I'm going to go back on all of them. Just so you know. I know, really weird style format. Cybertron. The gameplay is less throaty. The characters feel more different, I'd say. The graphics went from a bit cartoony to a bit more realistic. It's still what you expect from 2012 game, but much improved. You don't find guns anymore. I really hated that. There's no grenades, and you get all your guns from a Cybertron store. You got light guns and heavy guns. With a really nice rod selection. I think it's about rods in War of Cybertron. Story-wise, it's just a direct continuation. So at the end of War of Cybertron, you see the Autobots are all leaving Cybertron and they're constructing the Ark for Cybertron. Besides the first level, which I don't really count because that takes place afterwards, you see Optimus go to defend the Ark from the Decepticons attacking it with cannons. Megatron is defeated by Metricrex, who's called upon by Optimus to help defeat the cannons. The Decepticons on the starting ship try and get some energy on. Grimlock's gone off to get this tower, which opens a space bridge. Megatron comes back. Megatron defeats Starscream. They all go off to Cybertron, leaving poor Bruticus and the poor Dinobots to just rot. Yay. And then they tarnished everything with ROTDS and Rescue Academy by making Dinobots who aren't the actual Dinobots. They're just phonies with the same name. Like, I know that happens often, but it's the same universe. You could have at least done something. Well, with how they were characterized, I'm glad they're not the same characters. Darkspark. Oh no. I should read my community post. I joked about being nice to Darkspark. And I will. I've heard the things about how little time they had to make it, and I assume they were forced to do the whole crossover thing. So Darkspark's gameplay is exactly the same as For Cybertron. Like, exactly the same. A few damage values of the gun, I think, are different. And something else seems mildly off in a very bad way. So great job. Great job, Activision. And I'm going to blame Activision, not Eddie Reality. Story. The game tries to be half Age of Extinction, half Cybertron, but they aren't tied together. They aren't the same thing. So they're tied together with a Darkspark. So the Cybertron parts take place in between War and Fall, and Megatron is after the Darkspark. The Autobot tries to stop him. After Optimus stops him, the Darkspark travels through time and space into the movie universe, where before the events of Age of Extinction, Lockdown comes and finds it, and then the Autobot tries to stop him. And at the end of that, it travels through time and space into the G1 universe. So practically, it's two unrelated stories. Optimus trying to stop Megatron. Optimus and the Autobots of the Orion community trying to stop Megatron and Cybertron. And then the Optimus and the rest of the Autobots on Earth in the movie community trying to stop Lockdown. It's a bit of a mess. Every Transformer game has things reused. Practically all of them. Music, assets, voice lines. The foundation. But Darkspark isn't built off Fall. It is Fall. And that's one of the main reasons people hate it. It made no improvements. And while the story could have just been okay if it stuck to one or the other, it didn't. And Megatron is in his full Cybertron body, even though he's not meant to be yet. And the entire Earth thing is so messed up. So, Drift is there. There's no Ratchet. Optimus Prime is in his new body. There's no Crosshairs or Hound. Lockdown is there. Grimlock is there. It's a mess. I don't see how that could fit in. No matter how much you squint. Like at least Dark of the Moon you could squint with the game. Here you can't. And it doesn't stop anything in the movie, unlike Dark of the Moon. So I thought a bit about multiplayer. I have not played a proper multiplayer match in ages. The fan servers are never really that active for War. And I couldn't get it working for Darkspark. I played a bit of Darkspark offline. And I have played who knows how many hundreds, if not thousands of hours of the online for War and Fall back in the day. Never played Darkspark back in the day. Right. So it's the classic stuff. Team deathmatch. And there's also Excavation, which is like a horde co-op mode. Honestly, best part about the game, I would say, is the campaign. I was going to say multiplayer now, didn't you? But the multiplayer is incredibly good. It had so much replay value, grinding in the prime ranks and everything was fun. It's a great time, the multiplayer. So back to a more detail about all of them. People call War and Fall the best Transformer games. And I mean, there isn't that much competition. There's Transformers, Takara, Call of the Future, Transformers, PS2, Transformers, whatever people call it. That sucks. I hate that. If you've been on my channel for ages, which I assume you haven't, or you just know of the game anyway, you know how bad the voice acting is. Look it up, it is actually awful. They try mildly harder than they did for the Japanese anime trilogy dubs, but not by much. And they did all of that, and the game never got released outside of Japan. Doesn't even have Japanese voice acting, only English. and they're never going to be outside Japan. Waste of effort. I mean, the entire game was a waste of effort. There's Transformers Armada, which I have never actually completed. I'll have to go and do that at some point. Transformers the game, okay. Revenge of the Fallen, good. But Revenge of the Fallen, the multiplayer was the funnest thing. The campaign kind of sucks. Dark of the Moon was good, but it's practically just the same mechanic because it's the same people. Devastation, a bit rust and cheap feeling. I don't really like the hack and slash games, but I liked it, just not as much. Battlegrounds, I do not talk about. We do not talk about Battlegrounds. If we talk about Battlegrounds, I will annihilate it. Okay, I'm not really doing any of the other games justice. But I agree with the general consensus that the two are the best Transformer games. Now, there's been a growing community of people who think Rise of the Darkspark is overhated. And I only mildly agree. I mean, the gameplay deserves no praise because they're copy and paste of 4. The story, as much as I would like to say, it's not their fault. They was forced to cast in on the movie hype and make a Cybertron game to cast in on the Cybertron hype. It doesn't matter whose fault it is, it's still not very good. But as I did say, if they committed to one or the other, it may have been a lot better. I wouldn't say Rise is a bad game, I just say it's just bad in general. It's an okay game. The game itself is okay, it's bad because of the laziness and cost cutting methods that Activision did. I'd also like to mention the models in Rise look really ugly. But they didn't copy and paste from the previous games looks ugly. And they copy and pasted a lot. War, Fall, Dark of the Moon, Revenge of the Fallen, everything. The entire family of games is here to be copied from. Okay, back to the story. I think the Transformer games have done a good job of fleshing out the characters. A lot better than some of the shows, and a lot better than the movies. Like, the movies, the characters, out of the movies, like all of the movies, all 7 of them, I don't care if different continuities, I know that. I'm just talking about them in general. You could probably put them all 7 together, and you'll probably get 30 minutes of good conversation, good dialogue, good writing, which is the same, because I like the movie incarnation of the characters. It's just to combine them with everything else, and they're good. Now, War and Fall have the benefit of not being tied down to the movies, and half of Rise of the Darkspark does, and they have the kind of curse and blessing of being tied to the greatest TV show of all time. So, it's practically perfect. The characterization. Rise is Earth half. Leaves a lot to be decided of everything, which is the same. And I'm only just realizing I forgot to mention the 3-player mode in War. One of the biggest differences between War and the others is each level gives you a selection of 3 characters, and you can have 2 bodies along with you, online only. It sucks. If one of you died, you all die. And because you couldn't play locally, you're mostly playing with randoms who die a lot. So the ability to have 3 different characters is nice, but the multiplayer aspect, not so much. And it also meant every level had to have 3 characters there. Whether that could easily have been gotten to work in the others, I'm kind of glad they didn't do that. Back to a little more detail on the story. I'm pretty sure I said that and then went off on a different tangent about characterization in the movies. So, in War, it starts with Megatron raiding a Dark Energon storage facility. Everyone thinks he's mad, but when he succeeds, Starscream sees he's got a chance to wield power, and he betrays the Autobots and joins the Decepticons. Megatron is looking to now use his Dark Energon to poison the core of Cybertron to have some control over it. So he goes off to find Zeta and gets the key to the core. When he finds Zeta and kills Zeta, he realizes that Zeta doesn't have the key, he has the key to the key. And the actual key is Omega Supreme. So Megatron has to go off and defeat Omega Supreme. He struggles at first, but then he just completely overrides him with Dark Energon. He goes to the core and hits it with Dark Energon. Poison it. Again, if you've not seen Prime, this is mentioned there. The Autobots then find out about Zeta's death, and Optimus goes on and takes it onto himself to try and sort things out. To try and rescue Zeta, rescue Omega, and hopefully reverse the poison Dark Energon Megatron is put into Primus. He finds Zeta dead. He finds Omega Supreme, but he's just too badly damaged. And he makes it to the core. And again, he fails. Primus gives him a portion of his spark into the Matrix. And tells him that it'll take millions of years. This is what Optimus Prime realizes, that they just have to leave Cybertron. But they can't, because there's a massive space station with a razor on it in the way. So he sends the area bots to defeat Trypticon, who's the space station in this one. I think that's kind of cool. We've seen the city modes fly anyway in the past, so just making one of them a space station kind of makes sense. Optimus Prime sadly sacrifices his BFF, his axe. He sacrifices his axe to defeat Trypticon. There's an Easter egg in For Cybertron where he's like, your sacrifice will not be a forgotten old friend. When it shows up a hologram of the axe. That's where I got that from. So he constructs an arc for him and the other elite Autobots and sends the rest of the peasant troopers on normal shuttles. For Cybertron, Optimus Prime has to go and defeat Megatron's forces in Icon and the guns he set up. He finds Metroplex and activates him and he helps. Megatron's defeated, the Decepticons retreat. And Jazz and Cliffjumper have to figure out what Grimlock's been up to. Starscream sends the combat icons to raise Autobots' transport vessel with energy on it. They fail. Jazz and Cliffjumper find Earth. Soundwave revives Megatron in a new body. You hear the rise of Darkspark? It took halfway before Cybertron to get his new body. Great consistency. Megatron shoots Starscream, not kills him, because we need him in Prime. And goes off to get a ship to catch up with the Autobots when they launch theirs into the portal. Well, I'm not going to watch into the portal yet. I don't think the portal is open. The portal isn't open yet. Now, another tie to Prime. The ship looks very similar, and in Prime, the ship comes alive at some point when Megatron puts Dark Angel into it. That's Trypticon. The ship is Trypticon. Now, this is something I actually really like, and it took me ages to notice this. Metroplex sacrifices himself on his own accord to give the Autobots the Energon to launch the Ark. Megatron Force 3 turns Trypticon into a mindless, non-transforming ship to leave Cybertron. I just really think that's a great detail and parallel to Optimus and Megatron. So Trypticon now is permanently turned into a ship, and you can never transform back. Grimlock has gone investigating this tower and ROTDS of Energon. It opens up a portal, but at some point with his messing around, the portal becomes unstable. So the Autobots and the Decepticons rush to it. The Decepticons attack the Ark, and they both go through the portal. Rise of the Dark Spark. There's a Dark Spark. Because we need a plot that makes having these two different plots work. So in between events of War and Fall, Megatron goes after the Dark Spark. Cliffjumper and the rest of the Autobots trying to stop him. But they fail. Cliffjumper's captured, and Megatron gets the Dark Spark and retreats into Chaos. The Autobots raid Chaos, get the Dark Spark, get Cliffjumper, and the Dark Spark spawns into space where time travels and travels between the dimensions and universes and time into the Age of Extinction universe. I call it the Age of Extinction universe. I don't know why. I don't really say movie universe, because like I said before, it just doesn't make sense. No matter how much you squint, not a single detail can fit into the movie verse. Lockdown wants to reunite the war like it used to be, because he wants money. So he takes the Dark Spark and runs off. And then the Autobots trying to stop him. And they do. And Optimus Prime uses his newfound Matrix powers of tractor beams and laser beams to put it into a portal, which was like the one from For Cybertron for some reason. I kind of forgot why or how, and it goes into the G1 universe in a like post-credits like scene. Yay! Kind of cliffhanger, kind of sequel bait that never happened. Yeah, I was a bit confused. Now, I said it as in Cybertron portion, Earth portion. And even though that's how it does go, story-wise, because at the end of Cybertron portion, that's how it ends up into the Earth part. But for some reason, you play level with Drift first, then all the Cybertron levels and the rest of the Earth levels. Kind of weird to go from Earth to Cybertron, then to Earth. As I said before, the gameplay is the same as Full. And there's one level. Now in Full, there's one level that's completely different. And that's Grimlock's. He can't transform. His ultimate is to his transform. He's got a sword. He can't access a Terror sword. He's very heavy and slow moving and can pick up stuff. And has a flamethrower. Now, in Rise of the Dark Spark, there's a Grimlock level. Earth Grimlock level. What to do on Earth at this time, I don't really know. And it's the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. I hate it. Now, the final bosses, I think, for each game, really so. They can encapsulate everything. War, you fought Trypticon. It looked pretty cool, but it's still a kind of basic fight. It was a very cool fight. Bit difficult on hard mode. Full had a very easy fight, but it was super cinematic. It was a sword fight between Optimus and Megatron. You could choose what one you want to play as. It will change how the other one fights. Megatron uses his cannon and tank mode to shoot you from far. Optimus Prime doesn't use his gun and he rams you over. Dark Spark. The firefight against Lockdown sucks. It's terrible. He just jumps on a wall, gets a bit of a shield, jumps down, you see him, but he goes back up. It sucks. And I still don't know how to do an outro. So, thanks for watching, I guess. My Dark and the Moon video is still fighting the copyright system. Yay! And maybe I'll finally make good on my promise to do some Falcon or like Gist and Trails stuff. Maybe. I may make a Final Fantasy 15 video before then. I don't know. But thanks for watching. See ya, I guess.
It's been a long, painful war with the Decepticons. Whatever lies beyond that portal is our best and last hope.
At this rate, it may close before we even get there.
La 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 la